Welcome to our Emergency Preparedness video series. This is one of 12 videos that will become available during this year, one each month. First, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Jennifer Ponce, the Office of Emergency Services Coordinator for the City of Morgan Hill.
And I'm Randy Christensen, an instructor for Morgan Hill's Community Emergency Response Team. Being prepared for disasters and emergencies can seem like a big job. Many people don't know where to start, so they never start at all. Do One Thing is a 12-month program and has been adopted nationally by emergency services of many counties. The program makes it easy for you to prepare yourself, your family, and your community for emergencies or disasters. The goal of this presentation is to help you create and execute a plan that will allow you to communicate with family members during and immediately after a disaster.
Our objectives are threefold. Have at least one phone that can work during a power outage in a disaster. Create a plan that works for your family in keeping touch with each other during and after a disaster. Have emergency contact numbers available for all members of your family, both digitally and on paper.
We are privileged these days to have so many ways to communicate with each other. Cell phones, texting, the internet, email. These could all be silenced when a disaster strikes. Those devices may not be available due to a variety of different reasons. Cell towers could quickly become overloaded with people trying to reach each other. Power may be out because of the disaster, making either your device or parts of the communication chain inoperative.
When we talk about landline phones, we're talking about those phones that plug into a wall and then have either a copper or fiber optic cable connection to the telephone company. We're not talking about VoIP or voice over internet phones, which normally pass communications over data cables. Those older style telephones that have a coiled cord connecting the handset to a base, which is then connected to the wall, will most likely work even if your local power is out. They derive their operating power from the phone company who have batteries and backup generators. An exception are those landline telephones that are cordless. These are the phones that have the base plugged into the wall but no cord to the handset. That base requires power, which it would not be receiving if your local power is out. Voice over IP phones won't work because they will require the internet, which will probably be down, without any power going to your house. VoIP phones transfer your voice over data lines, which require computers.
As you're aware, cell phones are rechargeable and need to be plugged in regularly. In the event of an emergency or disaster, it is wise to keep a charger, along with a cable having the proper connections for your phone in your car. This way, your car's battery is the reserve power. Another consideration would be to have a portable backup battery, or maybe even a couple of them, charged and ready to assist your phone when its battery is dying. An additional option would be to have a portable solar panel that could be used to charge your cell phone. Make sure you have the appropriate connection cables.
If your cell phones have texting capabilities, make sure everyone in your family has this proficiency. In a disaster, cell phone towers may become overloaded with people attempting to make phone calls. Text data packets are a lot smaller than voice information and will have a better chance in getting through. Some individuals, particularly some of our more senior citizens, have difficulty learning and operating texting technology. Some are just too embarrassed to ask for help. If this happens to be one of your relatives, have the patience to teach them. Practice often so that it becomes second nature to them. You'll both enjoy the results.
Remember, don't call 911 just to get information or an update about a current emergency or disaster. Only call 911 in the event you need emergency help or you observe someone else who requires emergency help.
There are alternatives to landlines, cell phones, and the internet. Note that these options are usually more expensive. Satellite phones don't require wires or towers. They send signals up to satellites, which in turn send them to a service provider, which is like a phone company. That service provider charges a monthly access fee and then so much per minute of use. Ham radio or amateur radio usually always works during a disaster or emergency. People can talk locally to other ham radio operators, or their communications can be sent longer distances by using repeater antennas.
It would be wise to create a family communication plan that will meet your family's unique needs and capabilities during a disaster. Include family members and those friends who may be supporting your family, like caregivers. It would be prudent to include primary contacts for work, school, and daycare. A wallet-sized form can be obtained at www.ready.gov. Search for Family Communication Plan Cards. When the plan is complete, post it by the phone in the kitchen. It would be prudent to also place copies in all of your go bags and 72-hour kits.
Local phone calls and long-distance phone calls work on different circuits. When the local phone circuits are overloaded, there's a chance that long-distance calls can't get through. Choose someone outside of your local calling area to be your outside area contact. This is the person everyone in your family should call and tell about their status. If no one answers, make sure that all family members know to leave a message containing their name, location, status, and how to contact them. Make sure all family members carry this number in their phone. It would also be wise to have this contact noted within the contact list kept in all 72-hour kits and go bags.
An emergency contact can be critical during a disaster or emergency. If something has happened that prevents you from being able to talk to emergency or medical personnel, they will need some way of finding out who to contact. Create a contact in your cell phone's contact list named In Case of Emergency, or ICE. Enter the name of the person who should be contacted along with their cell, home, and work phone numbers. For security reasons, many people lock their cell phones, which will prevent first responders from accessing that ICE contact. A backup would be to have an emergency contact list in your purse or wallet. Other important information that could be included on the contact list would be your current medications and doctor's information.
In review, we have discussed 3 basic areas to address when dealing with family communications in a disaster. We talked about telephones that plug into your wall requiring no additional power to operate. We discussed the needs to have backup power for your cell phones. We also mentioned additional options such as ham radio and satellite phones. You've been encouraged to create a plan that will help you and your family keep in touch with each other during or after a disaster. And lastly, we talked about creating an ICE, or in case of emergency contact, in your cell phone, as well as hard copies with contact information being placed in your go bag and 72-hour kits. Thank you for your time. This concludes the Do One Thing presentation on family communications.